Mr. Valui. Have you made copies for Mr. Mnisi?
Yes, indeed, my lord.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, we may proceed then.
We also printed the relevant portion of the record.
Yeah, okay, fine. You may proceed reading that document.
Yes, my lord. So it says the suspect are as follows. 3.1, Mzika Ukulelwa Stemba Sibiya. He was first linked to this offense by means of witness statements under oath. The accused boasted to individuals closely associated with him in KZN homelands as to his involvement together with Mafika here under suspect 2, Carlos here under suspect 3, Mapisa here under suspect 4, and Kani here under suspect 5 into the killing of the deceased. A dispute ensued between these individuals, and the closely associated individual disclosed to the SAPS the admissions the accused made to them. The accused was further linked with circumstantial evidence wherein he, minutes after the incident took place, made disclosures. The incident made disclosures and remarks at a family gathering he attended in Fostoras as to the killing of Senzo, even before the death was reported to the media. He is further linked by means of a formal confession he made to the commissioned independent police officer on the 30th of May 2020. The suspect further made a formal pointing out to the sequence prior to the incident, the guarding of the outside of the house during the assassination, and the dropping off of the accused at the cell phone tower referred to here above. The pointing out was made to another commissioned officer on the 6th of June 2020. The correct date, my lord, should be the 5th. That's when the pointing out was done. I just want to correct this, but I say it says the 6th. 3.2, Bongani Sandi Sontanzi, nickname Mafika. He is linked to this offense by means of certified sworn statement he made to the witnesses and an identikit compiled through the description of witnesses. He was identified as the person with a hoodie who initially stood outside of the house prior to the incident and running away after the incident. The involvement of this suspect was mentioned by suspect 1 here in above as equally involved in the killing of the deceased to the family of suspect 1. The suspect was traced through information received, and he was confronted with the above evidence available against him. He was amongst others confronted with the clothes he was alleged to have worn and compiled identikit. During the questioning and subsequent search of the premises were ammunition found for which no license was produced. The suspect was arrested for this offense. Hereafter, the suspect indicated his eagerness to confess as to the involvement in this matter. The suspect made a confession to a commissioned officer on the 19th of June 2020 and later made a further confession in the presence of his attorney to a magistrate in Boksburg Magistrate Court on the 24th of June 2020. Through the confession, does it appear that this suspect is the suspect that was described as tall, slender-built, which came into the house. 3.3, Ntobisi Prince, nickname Carlos. He is linked by means of a sworn certified statement in the docket referred to herein above. The involvement of this accused was equally explained in detail in the confession by suspect 2 above. Through investigation of this information contained in the confession, further evidence under oath was obtained as to the suspect's real name depicted above. It was established that the suspect was a sentenced prisoner serving 35 years in prison for murder committed in 2015. Ballistic tests revealed that the same firearm used in the murder for which the accused was serving his sentence were used in the murder of Senzo Meyiwa. Upon the accused's arrest in 2015, upon the accused's arrest for the 2015 convicted murder, a cell phone was seized in his possession. The cell phone downloadings of his phone were done. The photos found on his cell phone memory showed him wearing the same clothing that were identified by witnesses on the day of the incident, as to the accused carrying the revolver upon entering the house. Photos downloads taken of the accused by himself, selfies, match the description of the suspect, who had the firearm with red locks, big eyes, and with the gold teeth. This is the suspect that went into the house, made a demand of cell phone and money. He is also the same suspect that shot the deceased in this matter during the struggle with him. Photos were equally found of the murder weapon used in the murder of Senzo Meyiwa. 3.4. Mthokoziseni Ziphozonke Mapisa, also known as Mapisa. The suspect is linked to this offense by means of certified sworn statement referred to herein above. He is further linked by means of confession he made to a private person, open bracket, a close friend, close bracket, about his involvement in this matter. The confession came about in that this suspect requested this private person to establish the reasons why suspect Mafika was arrested. The information disclosed was that the suspect Mafika was not only arrested for ammunition but also for the Meyiwa murder. Upon the private person return disclosing this information to suspect Mapisa, did Mapisa instruct the private person to return to and inform suspect Mafika not to disclose his, that is now Mapisa, his involvement, as he, Mafika, will be assassinated. It was during this discussion that the suspect Mapisa confessed to the private person his involvement in the matter. Investigation revealed that the role of this suspect was to guard any unexpected people who may come in or outside the house. He was also armed with a small firearm. 3.5. Sifogu Nkani Ntuli, also known as Nkani. The suspect is linked by means of a sworn statement by witnesses referred to above. He is linked to a car that was used as a getaway vehicle, which is a silver VW Polo. Evidence also revealed that he drove the car with the suspect to the crime scene and back to Phosphorus Hostel after the incident. His role was to remain and guard the vehicle, guard the getaway car during the commission of the offense. The confession of Mafika, insofar as the usage of the vehicle refers to, is supported by independent witnesses confirming that this accused was seen driving the said vehicle prior to and after the committal of the murder in the company of the referred suspects above. The above suspects are also known to be hitmen for taxi wars. The said suspects were traced and found on different locations and occasions where they were warned according to their constitutional rights in terms of Section 35, Act 108 of 1996 by me, and questioned for this incident. Some of the suspects made confession to independent commissioned police officers as well as magistrates as indicated above. Others made confession as they were showing off to private persons who were well known to them after the incident, but on different occasions as well. Paragraph 4. Evidence by means of sworn, corroborating, and independent witness statements establishes a causal link between the offenders and the offense of murder, robbery with aggravating circumstances, possession of unlicensed firearm, and the unlawful possession of ammunition. The Director of Public Prosecutions, Gauteng Division, on a directive of the National Director of Public Prosecutions, instructed, after careful consideration of the presented evidence, that the above 5 suspects in paragraph 3 must be arraigned for murder, robbery, and with aggravating circumstances, as well as possession of unlicensed firearm and ammunition. The instructions are attached with this statement as BNG1. I hereby apply for the warrant of arrest for the following suspect as indicated, suspects on above indicated charges on this paragraph. Then the name of accused 1 up to 5 is mentioned, my lord. And then paragraph 5 is really an oath where I then place my signature. And then this statement was then commissioned on the 23rd of October 2020 at 100 hours by Sergeant Mohula. Then the BNG1 that I refer to, my lord, it's a document from the National Prosecution Services, Director of Public Prosecution, Gauteng Division, Pretoria. That's what it says. And there's a reference number 10/1/12/1-P243/2019, and the date is 21 October 2020. Then it says Senior Prosecutor, Private Bag, Box Bag 41460. The State versus M. Sibia and others, Phosphorus Case 636 of 10/2014. Then it reads as follows. The Director of Public Prosecutions remarks as follows. 1. In terms of Section 75 of Act 51 of 1977, I have decided to arraign the accused Muziga Ukulela Stemba Sibia at Muzindo, Bongane Sandison Tanzi at Mafiga, Mtobisi Prince Mngube at Carlos, Mthokoziseni Mapisa, Sifokuhle Nkani Ntuli Sifiso at Nkani in the High Court on the following charges. 1.1 Murder, read with provisions of Section 51, open bracket 1, close bracket, Act 105 of 1997. 1.2 Robbery with aggravating circumstances as set defined in Section 1, Act 1 of 1977, read with Section 51 of 1, Act 105 of 1997. 1.3 Contravention of Section 3, Act 60 of 2000, open bracket, possession of firearm. 1.4 Contravention of Section 90, Act 60 of 2000, and that is possession of ammunition. Paragraph 2. You must request the magistrate to refer the accused for trial in the High Court on the said charges. 3. The magistrate must be requested to obtain the following information from the accused and to record it. 3.1 Whether they will arrange for their defense or whether they want legal aid defense. 3.2 Whether they want the state to subpoena any witnesses on their behalf. If so, the names and addresses of such witnesses must be furnished. Paragraph 4. If the accused are to be released, beg your pardon, my lord. If the accused are to be released on bail or have been released, the magistrate must be requested to include the condition referred to in Section 52, subsection D of Act 51 of 1977, and to enclose the record accordingly, and to endorse, beg your pardon, and to endorse the record accordingly. 5. The following document is prescribed by Section 144, subsection 3 of Act 51 of 1977 in terms of Section 144, subsection 1A and 2 of Act 51 of 1977 will follow. Notice of trial, indictment of accused, summary of substantial facts, list of witnesses. The magistrate must be requested to endorse the service of the above paper, the service of the above papers on the record of the proceedings. See Section 144, subsection D of Act 51 of 1977. The National Director of Public Prosecution has transferred the case to this office jurisdictional area as per the attached letter. then it's a signature, my lord, of from the DPP, and that's the end of the statement, my lord.
Yeah, just for my knowledge. When this matter started,
Yes, my lord.
it was at Boxbeck, you say.
That is correct, my lord.
Any of the accused, did they bring an application to quash the charges because these charges don't contain any due process regarding whether they have in fact contravened the law?
I'm not aware, my lord. of
No application for quashing?
No, it was no. Then I'm not aware of such, my lord.
Okay, fine. Yes, Mr. Minister.
Thank you, Brigadier Gilinda. You would recall, I'm sorry. The interpreter needs to interpret that to the accused.
Lana ke incwadi ke kade ihlangothi le ufakazi bekakhuluma ngathi khona kade bebhalele ke ihlangothi labeshushisi ke khona kanjalo ke uyasho ukuthi yena ke ubaba ke noma umnumzana ubongani Nicholas Gininda uyena obhalile ngaphansi kwesifungo futhi ebhala isebenzisa kolimi lesingisi ke lapho ke uyasho ukuthi yena ke lapho kusebenza ngaphansi kweziphoyisa noma usebenzele isiqashiwe esiphoyiseni ke lapho ke ngaphansi komthetho ke lapho usection 30 kwala iNingizimu Afrika ngaphansi kweziphoyisa ke lapho ke Act 68 of 1995 uyasho khona ukuthi yena wenza kumsebenzi wakhe lona obhaliwe khona ngaphansi kwesifungo lesi futhi uyasho ukuthi khona ukuthi usebenza ngaphansi kwamovisi wama commissioner ke lapho ke futhi nake uyena ku commander welicala leli noma uyena kumseshi omkhulu kunothi icala leli noma uyena kumholi wabaseshi welicala leli futhi ngesikhathi lisa bekade bhala lokhu ke kade esebenza ngaphansi kwekuthi yena kade ku kernel lapho ke futhi inombolo zakhe uyibhalile inombolo zokusebenza kwakhe khona nalapha ke futhi inombolo zocingo lakhe zikhona khona ngalana ke lapho ku paragraph 2 yasho khona njalo ukuthi yena ke uyena ke umholi ke wethimba labaseshi ke ngaphansi kwecala leli lase Phosphorus case 636/10/2024 la khona ke yasho khona njalo ukuthi yena ke la kade research ke noma kade phenya ke icala lokubulawa komuntu abambiza ngegama lokuthi ke uSenzo Meyiwa owadutshula bese wabulawa noma washona ke ngelanga la nge26 yenyanga kaOctober ngomnyaka ka2014 phakathi kwesikhathi saka 8:30 ntambama kuze kushaya ihora la ka9 ebusuku ke futhi asho ukuthi umufi khona lapho ke wadutshulwa ngesikhathi kade kungena ngesikhathi noma wadutshulwa ngaphakathi komuzi wentombi yakhe kade beyibiza ngegama la kaKheli Khumalo noma igama lentombi yakhe kade uKheli Khumalo uyasho khona ukuthi ngesikhathi kade kusenzeka lokhu ke lapho ke kwajengakala ngokuthi kade abana bezobamba ke inkunzi kepha kubamba inkunzi kwabo ke bese kwangahambi kahle ke lapho ke futhi aqhubeka uyasho khona ukuthi yena kubhalile lokho ngaphansi kwesifungo ebhala lokhu mayelana nodaba noma udaba olubhaliwe lapho ukuthi kwangena ke abalisa ababili kulomuzi loyana ke ngesikhathi kungena abalisa ababili ke lapho ke bese bafuna kabo makhala kukhwini futhi nemali ke ngesikhathi kade bengena ngaphakathi komuzi bebamba ke inkunzi lapho ke futhi ngaphakathi kwalomuzi kade khona ke abantu abosikhombisa abadala ke futhi nengane encane kade khona ke lapho ke ngesikhathi abasolwa bengena ngaphakathi loyana ke futhi asho ukuthi abofakazi babhalile lapho ke ukuthi abasolwa bangena khona lapho ke bephethe ibhamu ngesikhathi kade besenza lokho futhi bephethe isibhamu esihamba abasibiza ngokuthi revolver ke igama laso ke futhi lapho ke umsolwa ke kade bemkhuluma noma bemchaze ngendlela ukuthi kade kuwesilisa oneba kade kumuntu omnyama wesilisa futhi onamehlo amakhulu ke lapho ke futhi kade anama dreads ke bagqoke ke ikhakhi noma ilokozana islamba noma ijacket elibrown kuyena futhi ngalanga senhla bagqoke nje isigqoko lakhe nekhanda futhi ngobude bakhe kade amfushane kunandona ke umsola wesibili bekahamba naye bese bathi ke umsola wesibili lo bekahamba nalowo uqala uma bona bemchaza indlela bemchaza ngayo ukuthi kade kuumuntu omude futhi onomzimba omuphile lapho ke benake bekade engenazo indevu kena ke futhi ngokumbala kade enombala omnyama ke kena ke futhi uyasho khona ukuthi lokhu kubhaliwe ngaphansi kwesifungo ngesikhathi kade kusenzeka lokhu ke kulomuzi lona elikhulumile ngawo ke ukuthi lokhu kwaqhamuka noma kwenzeka ngesikhathi kade beqambulisana ke lapho ke phakathi kade khona qambulisana phakathi kwaSenzo Meyiwa futhi okuyena ke umufi kulecala leli ke futhi nalabalisa noma nomlisa lo kade aphethe isibhamu lapho ke kulaba ababili kade bengenile bese le kumlisa lo wadubula amahlandlo amabili ke lapho ke edubula khona ngaphakathi kulomuzi loyana ke uyasho ukuthi khona kanjalo ke bese ngesikhathi kudutshulwa ke inhlamvu yoqala kade bedubula eduze no Senzo Meyiwa bese yamshala esifubeni ke nake ngesikhathi imshe esifubeni la ngaphambili bese yaphumela ke nake ngemuva la emahlombe akhe ke omzimba basho khona ukuthi ngesikhathi kade kusenzeka lokhu ke umsola wesibili yena ke badaqinize ebheke abofakazi kade bekhona lapho ngaphakathi kweleli khaya futhi bekavele phethe umakhala ekhukhwini lo umakhala ekhukhwini kade kumakhala ekhukhwini ka Miske umama uKheli Khumalo lapho ke ngesikhathi kade bebamba inkunzi lapho ke kulomuzi lo yena ke ngesikhathi kade kusenzeka lobugebengu noma yebo ngesikhathi kade kusenzeka ubugebengu lobo ke lapho ke futhi waqhubeka washo khona nje ukubhalile ngaphansi kwesifungo ukuthi besona abantu laba ukuthi kade gqoke ingubo ezinjani ke ngesikhathi kade benginile lapho ke bagqoke ke hoodie bona ke futhi omunye bekame ngaphandle eqhelele kancane kunendawo yesigameko ngesikhathi kade kusenzeka ngaphandle ukuthi kwenzeke lokhu ke futhi bese wathola ke lapho ke ngesikhathi bazama ukuthola ke ucingo lwakhona ke lapho ke basho khona ukuthi abantu laba balile ngaphansi kwesifungo ukuthi bese baphuma ke bebahamba ngenyawo ngesikhathi bephuma ngenyawo begijima lapho bese kwasala ke isigqoko sabo sasalo muntu kade adubulile khona lapho ke le ndawo yesigameko mayiqhubeka ke futhi ihamba ibheka phambili yasho khona njalo ukuthi lokho kubhaliwe ukuthi abasolwa ke ngesikhathi kade kusenzeka lokhu ke kade abanye ke labo kade behambisana nabo kade beyifihlile ekuthizeni bangabikho duze nale ndawo leyana ke bese bona bathatha ke amakhithi ke noma ucwaningo lwamakhithi ngesikhathi lwabafakazi ngesikhathi kade kusenzeka lokhu oqhamuka kubasoka labo kade bengene lapho ke bese ke bathi ke umuntu walimala kubamthatha bamgijimisela ke esibhedlela ngesikhathi bemthatha kulomuzi lo yana ke ngesikhathi bamgijimisela esibhedlela kepha ke ngesikhathi befika ngesibhedlela bese babatshela ukuthi sekashonile ke ngesikhathi kade kusenzeka lokhu kwenzeka phakathi kwa 8:30 ntambama kuze futhi kushaya ihora la ka9 ebusuku khona ke njalo ke futhi ngesikhathi kade befika esibhedlela phakathi ngemizuzu ke e15 ke ngemuva kwehora la ka9 kulabo abatshela khona ukuthi umufi sekashonile futhi maqhubeka ebisenza usesha kwecala labo bayasho khona ukuthi lokhu kuyajengekala ukuthi khona ke ucingo lolu abalithatha lapho ke bahamba nalo ke lona ke lwaqhamuka uma bebheka ke ama cellphone towers noma lokhu kokusebenza kwama cellphone lokhu okuveza ama cellphones ukuthi noma umakhalekhukhwini ukuthi bakuphike nendawo kade bevela ngaphansi kwe hostel lapho ke Fosloras futhi yasho khona ukuthi ucingo lolo ke bona abakaze balithole kuze kube isikhathi samanje ke noma abakaze baphinde babuye balayiteke futhi ucingo lolo kade belithathile lapho ke futhi yasho ukuthi ufakazi obukhona ngala kubhaliwe futhi kujengakala ke ukuthi
Wix gibt dir das Potenzial von KI, um eine Website mit allen Business-Funktionen und einem auf dich zugeschnittenen
lokho ke lolwazi loloke bathi ngesikhathi baphenya ke bathola ke ukuthi ufakazi babo ke noma ufakazi babutholile ke malana nabantu ade bekhona ngesikhathi senzeka udlamelo noma ngesikhathi ade kubulawa ke khona komufi lapho ke kade basho khona ukuthi lokhu noma abantu laba kade bephethe ibhamu futhi bashaya lobugebengu babo njengokuthi ade beshaya bebamba inkunzi kepha kubamba inkunzi kwabo akaze kuhambe kahle ke lapho ke futhi basho ukuthi banofakazi malana nabasola bo bahlanuke lapho futhi ufakazi khona babhalile futhi wapheza kahle ngenzansi ke ukuthi lokhu kade bebulala khona ke lapho kuSenzo Meyiwa futhi yaqhubeka yasho khona ukuthi amagama wabasolwa ke la alandelayo 3.1 lapho ke bayasho khona ukuthi lapho ke muzika ukhulelwa Sithembe Sibiya ke bathi yena ke oqala lapho kuxhumaniswa nelecala leli futhi kunofakazi ubhaliwe noma istatement ezibhaliwe ngaphansi kwesifungo la bayasho khona ukuthi umsolo wakhe nake uqhamuka futhi nabanye futhi aqhelene nabo ke noma seduze nabo ke baqhamuka endaweni eyodwa nesigodi ngaphansi kwesigodi sisodwa lapho ke indasi KZN futhi yena kade wambiza ngegama lika Mafika ke noma uxhumane noMafika lapho ke noma kade hamba noMafika yebo bekahamba noMafika lapho ke ukumsola wesibili kulecala leli uMafika bambiza ukuthi uCarlos lapho ke futhi yasho kwenza ukuthi owesithathu bambiza ukuthi uMaphisa ke lapho ke futhi owesine kumsolwa bambiza ukuthi uNkani ke lapho futhi owesihlanu komsolwa ke lapho ke naye ukhona ngalana ke futhi kulokubulala lokhu ke kukamufi lapho ke futhi washo ukuthi lokho akuphikisiwe ngesikhathi noma akukho ukuphikiwe ukuthi ngesikhathi kade kusenzeka lokhu ke malana nalabantu bodwana noma bonkana labake ngesikhathi kade ithimba lesiphoyisa lithola ke ulwazi lonke futhi noma lokhu kade likutholile ke lapho ke futhi yasho konje ukuthi uma iqhubeka khona njalo sokhona lapho ke ukuthi abantu abawaxhumanisa ngofakazi okukhethekile noma ufakazi okade ubutholakele lapho ke obuqhamuka kulomuntu abantu ade bekhona ke futhi lapho noma kulemindeni noma kulomhlangano womndeni kade ukhona ke lapho Fosloras ngesikhathi ekhuluma ke esithena ke uyazi ukuthi ke uSenzo sekashonile ngaphandle ukuthi ke lezo ndaba lezo ke zithole ke intatheli bese batsheleke intatheli bese intatheli zitshela ke umphakathi lapho ku media house noma kwi-entertain noma kumibukiso noma mhlambi kumsakazo ke lapho ke uyasho khona njalo ukuthi lapho kokubhalile lokhu ke kubhala ngaphansi wana wakhuluma futhi ukukhuluma ngaphansi kwe-confession le ayenza ke futhi komuntu kwiphoyisa elimele ngelanga lange-30 zakaMeyi ngomnyaka 2020 futhi yaso kwenza ukuthi umsola ke lapho ke wahamba futhi bese wakhomba ke leyo lezinto ngendlela ke ezenzeka ngayo ke ngesikhathi kade bemphelekeza bemgadile ngala ngesikhathi lapho kulumuzi leyana ke futhi ngesikhathi befika lapho ke bese wakhuluma futhi ucingo ngodaba ukuthi kwenzekani ke ngalo ke lapho ke bese yaqhubeka futhi yasuke nawakhomba konke lokho ungekade khomba kade ekhomba ngaphansi koCommissioner wezesiphoyisa ngelanga lange-5 zinyanga kaJune ngomnyaka ka-2020 bese lapha ku-3.2 wabhalile mayelana nobongani Sandiso Ntanzi ke onegama abambiza ngalo ke lokuthi umafika ke igama lakhe ke bathi yena kuyaxhumana nalo daba lolu ngembangela ukuthi kade khona noma ngenhloso ukuthi kade khona ke i-statement kade zithathiwe zibhaliwe ke lapho ke abofakazi ke lapho ke futhi nale kit kade bethathile igcwalisile besebenza cwaningo layo kumalana nodaba labafakazi noma udaba lofakazi ke lapho ke ngeli yasho khona ukuthi lo muntu bambhalile khona lapho ke ukuthi uyena kade agqoke ke ihudi lapho ke futhi kade ngaphandle ngaphambi ukuthi angene ngaphakathi kulomuzi noma ngaphambi ukuthi kwenzeke isigameko ngaphakathi kulamuzi bese ngemuva kwalokho bese bagijima ke bonkana bahamba ke lapho ke futhi yasho ukuthi ke isikhangiso sidlalile lapho ke umsola obhaliwe lapho ke kade aphelekeza umsola uqala ke lapho ke obhaliwe la kule nkulumo noma incwadi ke lapho ke ngesikhathi umsola kade bengena ngaphakathi libulala ke khona ke njalo ke lapho kumsola uqala futhi yasho khona njalo ukuthi abasolwa ke lapho ke babathola mayelana nolwazi kade belitholile ke lapho ke noma ulwazi kade qhamukile kubona ke njengethimba ukuthi bagcine bemithola ke uyasho ukuthi mayelana nakho konke wena kade umunye walabanye kade belandiwe lapho ke malana noma kade bachazile malana nengune empahla zengubo noma nengubo zabo kade begqokile ke lapho ke ngesilanga leli lalo dlame noma ngesikhathi kade kusenzeka ubugebengu lobuke uyasifunga isikhathi kade bekuphenya bekubuza ke imibuzo lapho ke noma ngesikhathi kade besesha ke lapho ke kulaba thola khona ke ama-bullet la kade ungenawo kona ke ngisho ulicense noma amaphepha akunika ke ilungelo waphathe ke kwena ke futhi basho khona ukuthi umsola bese waboshwa ke emuva kwalokho ke bese basho khona njalo ukuthi umsola ngesikhathi kade etshala kade kusenzeka lokho ke yena ke washo ukuthi yena kunomdlandlo noma uyimisile thizeni kenza i-confession lapho malana nalo daba lolu ke futhi mayiqhubeka ihamba khona njalo ke yasho ukuthi umsola ke ngesikhathi kusenzeka lolu ke yena ke wakhuluma nephoyisa ke limele ngelanga lange-19 zakaJune ngomnyaka 2020 bese ngemuva kwalokho ke wenza ke confession ngesikhathi esenzeka lokho ke kade kwenza phambi kommeli futhi kade esenza lokho ke phambi kommeli kwinkantolo encane lapho ke Bosbeck Magistrate Court ngelanga lange-24 zakaJune ngomnyaka ka-2020 futhi mangabiqhubeka ihamba phambili yasho khona njalo ukuthi ngemuva kwale confession yakhe bese waqhamuka ke umsolo wakhe watshela ke malana ngodaba lakho ukuthi yena uyena kade akhona ke emude lapho futhi nomzimba omncane owangena ngaphakathi kulomuzi ke lapho ke malana nodaba laka 3.2 malana nodaba laka 3.3 khona ke lapho ke kubhaliwe khona ke malana Mthobisi Prince Ncube ke onegama noma obizwa ngegama laka Carlos ejwayelekile ke uyasho khona ukuthi yena ke bamxhumanisa bamxhumanisa lapho ke club gebengu lobu malana ne-statement ezikhona ke ngaphakathi kwedocket lapho ke futhi yasho ukuthi isikhangiso nakhe wasidlala lapho ke ukuthi kade ehambisana nalabanye futhi ephelekeza laba ke ngesikhathi ke umsola wesibili ke noma kubhaliwe ngaphansi kukamsola wesibili ke futhi uyasho khona njalo malana nencwadi ukuthi ngesikhathi esenza kusesha kwakhe kwicala leli ke kula wathola khona ke ulwazi ukuthi khona ke confession exhumanisa confession kade yenziwe ngaphansi kwesifungo ke exhumanisa yena ke umsola lapho ohamba ngaleli gama ebalibizile ngaphezulu ke futhi ngesikhathi kusenzeka udlame lolu ke umsola kade egwetshiwe ke ejele futhi engaphansi kwesigwebo sakhe seminyaka ke eyishumi saka 35 years ejele icala lokubulala ke alenza ngomnyaka ka-2015 futhi malana nodaba lama-ballistic test lapho ke akhipha khona njalo ukuthi isibhamu lesi esetshenzisiwe ke lapho ke kulokubulala kwakhe yisona futhi isibhamu malana icala lakhe leli kade agwetshelwe lona ke yisona isibhamu futhi wabuya wasebenzisa ke noma isabuye sasetshenziswa ngesikhathi kubulawa uSenzo Meyiwa futhi ngesikhathi kusenzeka lokhu ke basho khona njalo ukuthi umsolwa kade yena ke seliba agwetshiwe ke futhi nocingo lolu lwakhe besele balithatha ke kuyena bese bathubula ke izithombe eziqhamuka kulocingo lolu lwakhe ke umsolwa lapho ke futhi ngesikhathi kade bethubula ke izithombe izithombe kokulo cingo lwakhe loloke kwaqhamuka ke izithombe zakhe ke lapho la kade kade agqoke ke ingubo ezifanayo vele nalezi kade abofakazi kade bekhona ngaphakathi kulamuzi bakhuluma ngazo basho khona ukuthi kade khona ke izithombe lezo ke lapho izithombe abayithwebula kulo cingo lwakhe noma izithombe kade bezithwebule kulo makhalekhukhwini wakhe ke izithombe la yena kade ayithatha namathupha usithi ayu selfie ke ngelimi lesingisi ke lelo ke futhi ziyahambisana nenkulumo le bakhulume akade bekhulumile ngayo ke ngale futhi wathi yena ke wangena ephethe isibhamu lapho futhi kade nama threats futhi amehlo wakhe kade kuhamaso amakhulu futhi kade yanezinyo legolide ke yena ke bathi ke umsola khona njalo lapho yena ke wangena bathi ke umsola wangena ke ngaphakathi kulomuzi ngesikhathi bangena ngaphakathi kulomuzi bese wafuna ke nakhe ucingo lapho ke futhi ngemuva utafuna ucingo lapho noma abomakhalekhukhwini bese wabe futhi wafuna ke imali basho khona njalo ukuthi umsola lapho ke bese wadubula ke lapho ke dubula ke kumufi ke ngesikhathi kade khona ungazwana mhlawumbe ngabone ngasonye phakathi kwabo ke lapho ke futhi ithombe lezo ke bayitholile futhi ithombe bayithola zale ndawo yesehlo ke lapho ke futhi nesikhala kade setshenziswa lapho kubulaleni ke kwaSenzo Meyiwa malana no 3.4 kubhaliwe lapho ukuthi umthuku babhale malana nomthokoziseni zipho zonke emaphisa abamazi ngegama lakhe amaphisa uyasho kwenza ukuthi umsola naye futhi yaqhumana nawo konalokho konke malana nodouble ama statement ke akhona ke ngaphansi kohlelo ngaphansi kohlelo ama affidavit noma ngaphansi kohlelo ukuthi sele bafatha isifungo abantu bakhona ukuthi bazokhuluma ke lo daba lolu ke uyasho mayiqhubeka inkumene yasho khona ukuthi yena komsola kade ayimisele ethizeni ke enze iconfession ngaphambi komuntu oyimele futhi wakhuluma nje kumngani wakhe okhethekile lapho noma kumngani wakhe oseduze ke malana nesikhangiso sakhe noma nendlela aseduze ngayo kulecala leli futhi ngesikhathi ngikakhuluma ke nalomngani wakhe okhethekile ke lapho ke umsola wakhe noma nalomuntu oyimele lapho ke kula ukhuluma khona ke buza ukuthi ngabe yini sizathu sokuthi umafika aboshwe ke lapho ke bese ulwazi bese babuya bamtshela ukuthi umafisa uboshwe lapho ke eboshela ukuthi bamthola enobhontshisi ushama bullet ke lapho ke kade benga futhi ataboshele icala la kaMeyiwa lapho lokushona kaMeyiwa futhi ngesikhathi ethola lokhu etshela lokhu malana nalo muntu ukuthi ayimele lapho ke bese komaphisa ke washo khona njalo bese watshela lo muntu oyimele ukuthi akahambe futhi ahambe kumafika umafika kumafika atshela umafika ukuthi angakhulumi ngegama lakhe ke umaphisa ekutizeni nake ngabe unesandla kulokhu ke kokushona komuntu noma kubulaleni komuntu ke lapho ke futhi ngesikhathi kade bekhulumisana ke lapho ke uyasho khona njalo ukuthi umaphisa ke yena ke wabuya watshela lo muntu wakhe oyimele noma lo mngane akho khethekile malana nesikhangiso sakhe noma malana nendlela kade nesandla ngayo kulokhu futhi washo ukuthi ukusasha kwecala labo lapho ke nake wakhuluma isikhangiso wasibhalile lapho ke ukuthi kade ukuthi bekaqaphile lapho eqapheke imoto le kade imeduze nalomuzi lo yanake ngesikhathi kade kusenzeka lokhu ke futhi nake yasho ukuthi kuyena kade aphethe isibhamu nje esincane ke lapho ke malana nephuzu la ka 3.5 3.5 babhalile khona ke lapho malana nosifo kuhle enkani Ntuli owaziwa ngegama la kaNkani bayasho khona njalo ukuthi ke nake umsola bamxhumanisa nalokho melana nodaba lweinstatement kade luthathiwe ke lapho ke futhi basho khona ukuthi yena ke kade eqeqeshela ke noma uyena ke kade umxhumanisa ke nemoto imoto abagijima ngayo ke ngesikhathi kade kusenzeka iqeqedo kwenzeka udlame lolu ke futhi imoto le kade kuyi VW Polo ke lapho ke melana nofakazi kade bebutholile bayasho khona njalo ukuthi nake lapho ke uyena kade ashayela ke imoto ngesikhathi lesi igebengu noma mhlamba abasolwa ke besiya kule ndawo yabo yogebengu ke lapho ke futhi ngesikhathi bebasiya bekade beya khona ke futhi ngesikhathi besuka khona ke behamba bebuya la ke eFosloka Square hostel la khona ke ngemuva kwesigameko lesi futhi yena ke lapho wahlala hlezi emotweni eqaphe imoto egade imoto ngesikhathi kade kusenzeka logebengu lobuke futhi yaqhubeka khona njalo yasho ukuthi ke nake iconfession kamafika ke lapho ke yona ke abesebenzisile futhi ekhulumile mara nodaba lo ke kade bebatshelile noma waltshela umuntu ke lapho ke oyimele ngesikhathi basenza ke confession lena ukuthi ke ngabe bahamba ngani ngesikhathi kade besiya lapho ke nanoma bahamba ngani ngemuva ukuthi bebulale umufi lapho ke noma kusenzeka imoto yiphike lapho ke uma futhi iqhubeke siyaphambili yasho khona ukuthi bonkana abasola lawa wabhaliwe khona lapho ke kade bebasebenzisa ke noma kade besaziwa ke njengeenkabi zalapha ke kwimboni yamatekisi uma ngabe kade kunempi phakathi kwamatekisi futhi yaqhubeka yasho khona njalo manje ngabe siyaphambili ukuthi bona ke abasola bese bona bazama benza ke indlela ukuthi babathole ke ngemuva ukuthi babathole kwindawo ezahlukene futhi ngekhathi ezahlukene ngesikhathi kade kusenzeka lokho ke bona ke babhala lapho ke ngapha uma beqeda bathola ke bese babuye babatshela ke malana namalungelo abo ezomthetho awela ngaphansi kwa section 35 act 108 of 1996 bese athi ufakazi uyena ke wanifundela konke lokho ke malana nodaba lwezomthetho yenu uma ngaba seniboshwa khona lapho ke futhi yasho khona njalo yena ke abanye futhi kwabasola ke lapho babuya ke bakhuluma benza kodwa uhlelo le confession noma babuya benza ama confession ngaphansi komuntu ke oyimela lapho kwezesiphoyisa sakhe ngesikhathi futhi abanye ke babuya benza lokho ngaphambi kwabomantshi basenkantolo ke lapho futhi la ibhaliwe ngaphezulwini kule ncwadi lenake futhi yasho khona ukuthi abanye futhi benza ama confession ngesikhathi kade senza lokho ke kubantu ke abayimele ke futhi bakhuluma ngodaba lwabo ukuthi bona ke lapho ke ngabe banesandla kanjani kule cala leli uyasho khona njalo ngabe iqhubeka nenkulumo yakhe khona ke incwadi lapho ke ibhaliwe zeyifungo la ezibhalwe ngaphansi kwesifungo ke ngabantu abayimele ke lapho futhi nabofakazi nje abakhethekile abasho khona ukuthi yona nakhe ngabe ngiqhumana kanjani ke kule cala leli ke lenzile lapho ke lokushona noma icala lokubulala futhi icala kubamba inkunzi ngokuba kade ngixhobile kunina noma kade ngiphetheke ikhali kunina futhi nokutholakala necala lokuthatha ngiphetheke ibhamu ekho semthethweni futhi nobhontshisi noma amabullet angekho semthethweni ke lapho ke ngoba nawo incwadi kade imigunya enika ke imvume noma ilungelo ukuthi niphathelwa lapho lezo ncwadi ke lezo ke futhi yasho ukuthi lapho the director of the prosecution futhi abashushisi abakhulu ke lapho ke balana ke eGoli ke noma balana eGauteng basho khona njalo futhi nalapha ke national prosecution yasho khona ukuthi yena ke kumele iqaphe kakhulu manje iqala leli kade benithosa lona ke nonkana nenabasola nofuthi nobahlanu ke lapho ke laba bhalwe lapho paragraph 3 kuthi ke niboshwe lokubulala ukubamba inkunzi ngokuthi ade niphetheke ikhali kinina futhi ade niphethe lapho ke ibhamu futhi lapho ke namabullet ngesikhathi kade kusenzeka lokhu ke futhi uma ngabe iqhubeka khona lapho ke yasho njalo ukuthi yena ke wacela incwadi emlethela noma incwadi emnikeza ilungelo ukuthi zene anebambeke noma anibopheke lapho ke nonkana abasola babhaliwe 4.1 lapho ke umuzi kawukhulelwa esithembe sibiya igama bambiza ngalo ke umuzi bese kwesibili 4.2 bongane Sandiso Ntanzi igama bambiza ngalo ke lapho ke umafika bese okwesithathu ke lapho umthobisi Prince Ncube igama abambiza ngalo noma igama ejwele abajwele ukuthi bambize ngalo ke lapho uCarlos futhi ke lapho ke umsola sine ke lapho komthokoziseni zipho zonke maphisa noma abajwayele kumza ngegama la amaphisa ke bese osihlanu ke lapho ke usifo kuhle enkani Ntuli ojwayele ukuthi wambize ngegama la kaNtuli ke bese ngenzansi kwalokho lapha paragraph number 5 kula khona kwathatha khona ke isifungo ke lapho ke ngemuva ukuthenze khona lokhu ke bese uyabuya ke washo khona njalo ke mara nodaba lolu lwencwadi kade futhi ayibhalile noma incwadi abayithola noma incwadi kade bembhale yona eqhamuka lapho kubashushisi abakhulu noma kuhhovisi labashushisi nje lonkana liphela lalana ke lithi the director of the prosecution Gauteng division bese yathi Pretoria idolobha la khona ke lapho ke bese lapho ke yabhala futhi ngenzansi ukuthi lapho ke reference number bese babhala ukuthi lapho ke u10/2/12/3 bese ithi bhala ke inombolo lapho ithi dash bese ithi P 243/2019 bese lapho ithi senior prosecutor umshushisi omkhulu ke lapho ke private bag X21 Boxback 1460 bese yasho kumalana iqala lezombuso ke futhi nabasola laba abalandelayo ke lapho ke uM Sibiya futhi nabanye kade hamba nabo ke ngaphansi kwecala lase Foslorus case 636/10/2024 iyasho khona njalo uma ngabe ifunda ke lapho ke fundeka ngalendlela ke ehamba ngalendlela iyasho ukuthi i-director noma mhlawumbe umshushisi ophethe umshushisi omkhulu wabhala lapho ke ngaphansi komthetho ngaphansi kwesigaba somthetho usection 75 act 51 of 1987 washo ukuthi sakathathe isinqumo sokuthi ke abasola bonkana kumele bababopheke umsola oqala lapho ke kade kumuzi kawukhulelwa Sithembe Sibiya ke bambiza ngegama la kamuzi bese owesibili ke lapho ke kade ubongane Sandiso Ntanzi obambiza igama la kamafika ke lapho ke bese omunye kade kumthobisi Prince Ncube ke bambiza ngegama lika Carlos bese omunye kade kulapho ke umthokoziseni zipho zonke emaphisa kade bambiza ngegama lika maphisa bese ke umsola wesihlanu ke lapho kade usifo kuhle enkani Ntuli kade bambiza ngegama laka Sifo lapho ngegama laka Nkani ke lapho ke yaso lapho ke bese bathi ke kumele ukuthi babathwesa amacala ngaphambi kwenkantolo ephakeme icala lokuqala ke lapho ke bathi icala lokubulala eliwela ngaphansi komthetho lapho ke usection 51 subsection 1 act 105 05 of 1997. Bese icala lesibili lapho kubamba ke inkunzi ngokuthi kade liphetheke ikhali kinina ngesikhathi kade nibamba inkunzi lapho ke elibhaliwe lapho ke ngaphansi komthetho ka section 1 Act 51 of 1997 futhi lihambisana neminye ke imithetho ka 51 section 51 subsection 1 bese wathi Act 105 of 1997. Bese ke lapho bathi futhi icala linye kumele ukuthi baniphrese lona ke lapho noma wakati banibophele lona ke lapho ke icala elihambisana nokungayiphathi kahle malana nomthetho ka section 3 Act 60 of 2000 shuthi natholakala lapho ke niphetheke ibhamu ke kini. Bese elinye ke icala futhi kumele ukuthi banithwese ngalo ke lapho ke ungahambisani nomthetho ka section 90 Act 60 of 2000 ukuthi nitholakala ke kini niphetheke obhontshisi noma ke amabullet ke lapho ke. Bese ngenzansi basho ukuthi khona ke umuntu signile lapho ke signature lomuntu ke ayibonakala kahle ngendlela ke eqondile.
Thank you, Mr. Matsanga. Now, thank you, Brigadier. This information is very vital.
Bayabonga ke fakazi bathi futhi ulwazi olukhulu futhi olubalekile.
Thank you. You will understand that the stage at which we are now, you are presenting information to the NPA or to the DPP, requesting him to make a decision. Is this what you presented at that moment, at the stage at which we are now?
Bathi lesikhathi sikusona ke manje kulakade wena ke ulethe ulwazi lwakho noma kade umikise ulwazi lakho kade unalo ke lapho kuma office abashushisa abakhulu ke ekuthize mathathi isinqumo malana nolwazi kade uliphethe noma mayani icala leli kade uliphethe.
So it's partly correct, my lord, but not correct in the sense of saying information. You don't present information to the NPA when you want a decision. The memorandum gets presented with the docket. So you don't write a document and then just tell them this is what I have in the absence of the docket. You summarize the docket, the witnesses that are there, then the memorandum together with the docket. In this instance, in the team, there were 3 prosecutors as I indicated. That docket, the memorandum gets presented to them. What I got back after the feedback of them reading the docket then would have been the BNG one. That is a communication to say they've decided to indict the following individuals. But it goes with the docket. So it's not just an information, it's the docket that they applied their mind on and all the evidence that we've collected.
Athi ngicela ngihambisana ke ngithi yebo ngikuvumela kepha ke ukhumule khona nje mangabe uya lapha kuma office abashushisa abakhulu ke lapho ke umikisa memorandum. Mawumikisa memorandum kumele uyimikise lapho ke ihambisana ne docket bese ubatshela malana nolwazi olukhona ke lapho ke asukuthi ubatshela malana nolwazi lolu onalo ke lapho ke kepha ubatshela ngememorandum bese memorandum ekhona ke ihambisa lapho ke ihambisana ne docket futhi athi ngesikhathi bekafika lapho kuma office abashushisa abakhulu ke lapho ke kade atholeke ithimba labashushisa abathathu lapho ke bese wabatshela malana nalokho anakho ke lapho ke kena ke futhi bona bese bafaka ke imicabango yabo ke kuloko kade anakho ke lapho ke bese wayibiza ukuthi lelo hlelo ke likhona ababhalile phansi ke ukuthi uBNG1.
And lastly, my lord, I can say with greatest respect, I've dealt with this statement and the issues of the advocate, and I was subjected to cross-examination about certain things contained in some of the amendments that I've made in the accused, including Advocate Mnisi. It took me up on certain things that I've said insofar as this accused. So it's not the first time that I'm dealing with this statement in particular.
Athi futhi uma ngabe ngaphina futhi akhulume malana nalo daba lolu esudikida kumanje ke athi akusukoqala ke ekhuluma malana nalo daba lolu la statement lesi ngoba akhumule manje ukuthi khona ke isikhathi la kodwa abameli kade bemphenya ngoba kade bembuza ke imibuzo malana naloko oqukethiwe kule statement lesi ke noma malana naloko okubhalwe kule statement uze wathi futhi usho umnumzana Umnisi naye wambuza malana nalo daba lolu.
That's my response, my lord.
Athi una ngazelo yakhe ke leyo.
The fact that you had already dealt with this issue, Brigadier Kininda, and me having cross-examined you on this issue on behalf of accused number 3, what does that of course do with the fact that I am now supposed to cross-examine you on behalf of accused number 1.
Athi-ke nanoma kade akubuzile ke imibuzo mayelana nalo daba lo statement lesi akade akubuza mayelana nomsola wesithathu manje ngabe lokuxhumana ka kuphi noma kuhlangana kuphi ke mayelana nomsola woqala uma ngabe ekubuza ke imibuzo mayelana nodaba lokamsola woqala.
My Lord, I'm just bringing to the court's attention that we've dealt with this statement and Advocate Mnisi cross-examined me with it. I didn't say I have an exception or have an issue for him to re-examine me on it again. I'm just bringing to the attention of the court that we dealt with it and particularly with him on the very same statement.
Athi-ke lapho ke kade akhanda ukuthi ayilethele ngaphambi konkusenkantolo ekuthizeni kodaba lo balikhuluma la ngaphambi kwenkantolo ke lapho ke futhi akasho ukuthi icaba ukuthi mhlawumbe umnumzana uMnisi umnumzana uyobuya futhi ambuze ke mayelana nodaba lolu ke lapho ke embuza mayelana nodaba la kamsola kuqala kepha kuyasho ukuthi yena ke lolu daba lolu balidikita balikhuluma bala ngaphambi kwenkantolo.
Now, when you bring that to the attention of what is it that you are expecting the court to do as your expectation?
Bathi uma ngabe ukuthi udaba lolu uletha ngaphambi kwenkusenkantolo ngabe ulindele ukuthi inkusenkantolo yenze yini mayelana nodaba lolu ukhuluma ngalo.
As a court, please, my lord, counsel put the proposition to the witness that what is just read out is of vital importance. Now, the witness is saying this information is already on record. It's not as if it's something new. There's nothing wrong with it, my lord.
Well, I don't know whether that's an objection or what, but the question is, you're saying you're bringing this to the attention of the court that they've already dealt with this matter, and I'm saying to you, I'm now conducting a cross-examination on behalf of accused number 1, who had not had the privilege of somebody cross-examining you on your evidence in chief. Now I'm asking you, bringing that to the attention of the court, what is it that you are expecting the court to do with what you're bringing it to him?
Athi-ke manje ukhumbule khona nje manje sakubuza mayelana nodaba la kamsola uqala kepha ngesikhathi tona kade ukhulumile ngalo daba le statement lesi bowusho mayelana nomsola wesithathu kepha ngabe futhi inkosi enkantolo ekusize ngani ke uma uletha lokhu ematheni.
My Lord, I didn't make a request to the court. The impression I got, insofar as what Advocate Mnisi put to me when he referred to the importance of this information at this stage, the impression I got is it's if this is the first time we get to this, and I was merely bringing to the attention of the court that we have dealt with this. I was actually even cross-examined by the late Advocate Mr. Ngomezulu, on behalf of accused number 1. Same Advocate Mnisi, Mr. Ramsipilo also did. So I dealt with it, my Lord, and I'm simply bringing this to the attention of the court that it is not the first time that this issue has been canvassed, my Lord.
Athi-ke uma ngabe letha lo daba ngaphambi kwenkosi enkantolo kuwukuthi-ke lapho-ke yena uyasho khona ukuthi bakhuluma ngalo daba lolu bese baqeda-ke ngalo noma sele bekhulumile ngalo daba lolu statement lesi futhi la khona kade wabuza ke imibuzo-ke osele washona-ke lapho-ke umnumzana uMngomezulu futhi umnumzana uMnisi athi wambuza ke imibuzo mayelana nodaba lolu lwale statement futhi ngisho omunye ummeli okhona la ngaphambi kwenkantolo umnumzana uRamsipili.
Brigadier Keninda, please do not mislead the court. Accused number 1 had not yet had a person to cross-examine you in your evidence in chief. Do you understand? Mr. Mgomezu, I'm not done.
Kade acela-ke ummeli ukuthi ungathuli umcabango ongahambi kahle uma ungaqondile ongashayela esikhonkosini ngamashi ngoba lapho-ke wena kade bengakubuzi lutho-ke mayelana nemibuzo-ke ngaphansi kwesifungo uma ubuza-ke usuthola isikhathi sokuthi ubuze-ke abameli.
Mr. Mgomezulu got ill before he could start to cross-examine you, and ultimately he passed on. So, accused number 1 had not yet had an opportunity for someone to cross-examine you. So your aversion that Mr. Mgomezulu cross-examined you on your evidence in chief is misleading.
Athi-ke ulwazi olukhuluma ngalo lokuthi yena-ke umnumzana uMngomezulu sele kubuzile ke imibuzo mayelana nodaba lalo statement-ke akona umcabango oqondile lokho ngoba umnumzana uMngomezulu waqala-ke wagula ngaphambi kokuthi aqala-ke imibuzo-ke bese ngemuva kokugula kwakhe bese washona.
As a good please, my lord, we submit that the term misleading is inappropriate and it's uncalled for in the circumstances. The witness just merely stated what he thinks the position is, my lord. We submit that Advocate Nisi is attacking the integrity of the witness when he says he's misleading the court. And that should be withdrawn, my lord.
As it is the court, my lord, when a witness states something which is not factually correct, in English, what do you call that? I'm waiting an answer from the state.
My lord, we're not going to belabor the point. All that was saying it's inappropriate to say that a witness who's here to assist the court is misleading the court when he's just merely stating what is already on record. That's what this witness is doing, my lord, just stating what is already on record. How could he be misleading the court when he states what is on record?
I will also not belabor that point, my lord, but what the state is missing is the part relating to Mr. Mngomezulu having cross-examined him on behalf of accused number 1 in his evidence in chief. But that's not an issue. Let's get to the crux. Now, you are saying, Brigadier, this is the information or evidence that you presented together with the case docket to the DPP for them to make a decision on whether or not to charge whoever that you are recommending to be charged, not so?
Bathi-ke mnumzana usho ukuthi lolu ulwazi kade ulunikisile lapho noma i-memorandum noma uhlelo lwe-memorandum futhi ade lahambisana ne-docket ngesikhathi bovakashele ihhovisi labashushisi lapho bese watshela ngakho-ke ekuthizeni ukuthi bathi babuye futhi bathathe bakufunde lokhu ngemuva ukuthi bakufunde bafake imicabango yabo ngesikhathi ade befunda bese ngemuva kwalokho-ke bese babuye bathathe isinqumo sokuthi ngabe bathwesa abantu laba ababhaliwe lapho-ke icala noma abathwesi amacala.
So, my lord, perhaps before I get to this, the insinuation that I'm misleading is not correct. Perhaps if Advocate Nisi did not understand at what stage am I referring to the cross-examination, that should have been asked and I would have clarified it. Because I did not say I was cross-examined by Mr. Mngomezulu on the main trial. I just said he cross-examined me on this statement. And that was done during the trial within trial, my lord. That is the position. He made me go through the statement. It was read when we're in court. We can look at the record. And then he cross-examined on it. So I didn't separate. I didn't say it was on this main trial. Fact of the matter, I said he cross-examined me on this statement. And that happened. So that is not misleading, my lord.
Athi-ke ufakazi lapho-ke nombuzo wathi ubuzwe-ke ummeli noma nemali nenkulumo ukuthi ummeli ade ayikhulumile thizene-ke ufakazi ulahlekisa inkosi yenkantolo. Athi ufakazi asukuthi ulahlekisa inkosi yenkantolo uma itshela le mpendulo elandelayo. Athi lolu daba lolu salikhuluma bese sabuya saliqoqa futhi ngesikhathi kade khona-ke umzila ngaphakathi komzila la khona-ke osele washona-ke okuwummeli umnumzana uMngomezulu kade ambuza khona-ke imibuzo mayelana nodaba lolu lwale document leli kade alifunde khona la inkosi cha ifundela inkosi yenkantolo.
Now, secondly, my lord, to the question that I'm being asked, this is a summary of what I've told the DPP, but in the memorandum, my lord, it would have included the evidence that I had on Ms. Kelly Kumalo, because one will know when we presented the docket, the assertion that the instruction came from Ms. Kelly Kumalo was already out. It's contained in the confessions. So that part was included in the memorandum, because that's how we write memorandum. The list of witnesses in terms of the statements that we had, that part was included. So this is basically the statement that summarized the evidence insofar as accused 1 to 5, because that's what I was asked. What is it that we had on accused 1 to 5? And I'm saying the evidence in summary with specifics is then contained in the statement A195. But the memorandum was broader because then it dwells with the issues of Ms. Kelly Kumalo. What is it that was available at the time? And I did indicate previously, my lord, that there was then further instruction that came insofar as she was concerned. Hence, then there was another statement made later in November, which I was made to read in this court, where I was applying or requesting that she should also be charged as accused number 6.
Athi-ke khona lapho-ke uma ngabe kukhuluma nge-summary usho ukuthi inkulumo lapho enciphile mayelana nodaba lolu lwakhe ede alimikise lapho-ke kuhhovisi abashushisi abakhulu-ke ukukhuluma ngalolu daba lolu layo statement ade asifuna ngaphambi konkusi enkantolo. Kepha-ke athi lapho-ke khona-ke njalo uma ngabe kukhuluma ngodaba lwe-memorandum noma uhlelo lwe-memorandum noma udaba lwe-memorandum noma inkulumo kade iqukethiwe ngaphakathi kwe-memorandum. Athi-ke lapho-ke yona-ke ayinciphile futhi iyona nkulumo-ke ejulile lapho-ke la khona-ke igama laka-Miss uKelly Khumalo wenkosazana uKelly Khumalo-ke lapho-ke futhi ne-listi yofakazi-ke lapho-ke noma amagama ofakazi kade anabo-ke lapho-ke futhi athi uyabuya futhi washo khona ukuthi khona-ke lapho-ke beyawathola istatement sakhe ngenyanga kaNovember lapho kade asitholile lapho-ke futhi ngesikhathi athola bese nabe khona-ke incwadi kade ayibhalile lapho-ke athi naye komuntu bamthuse-ke icala bese babuye bamfakela ngalana-ke kube umsola wesithupha-ke lapho-ke yasho khona ukuthi memorandum la ilokuzana esummary le-memorandum yakhe lapho-ke ikhuluma malana nalokhu kade yena-ke anakho malana nomsola wokuqala umsola wesibili umsola wesithathu umsola wesine futhi nomsola wesihlanu-ke lapho-ke kepha khona-ke incwadi lakho la beyakhuluma ngayo-ke athi khona-ke ngaphakathi kwe-memorandum kepha lana-ke ayikho-ke leyo ncwadi leyo nayo-ke athi lokozana amaphuzu lawo-ke amaphuzu ukuthi yena benze isicelo sokuthi-ke nomama ulokozana uKelly Khumalo akaboshwe naye kathuswe icala bese ahambisane nani-ke lapho-ke abasolwa omunye wabasolwa okhona la inkosi ngaphambi kwenkosi enkantolo njengomsola wesithupha.
Thank you, Brigadier. So, you basically are telling this court and answering me that what you've just read into record here is not a complete picture of what you actually presented to the statement, so?
Athi-ke manje ummeli ukuthi le nkulumo omtshela yona-ke ukuthi akusizithombe esigcwele owasimikisa lapho kubashushisi ngesikhathi umikisa-ke udaba lwakho kubona akusenjalo.
No, that's not what I'm saying, my lord. My understanding of the question that led to me going to this statement is from Advocate Mnisi. The question was, and he wanted specific, what evidence did I present to the DPP insofar as accused 1 to 5? And I said I won't be able to remember specifically because he wanted specifics. Then I referred to this statement because under each accused, it is listed what is it that we have against that accused at the time. That is the same insofar as the memorandum is concerned. The only thing that I'm saying is that the memorandum goes broader insofar as Ms. Kelly Khumalo and the evidence that relates to Ms. Kelly Khumalo. But insofar as these accused are concerned, what is contained here is the same as you'll find in the memorandum.
Athi-ke lapho ukuzwisisa kakhe mayelana nombuzo wathi ubuze kumnumzana kaMnisi lapho-ke kuwukuthi ngabe yini anayo ufakazi melana nomsola wokuqala umsola wesibili umsola wesithathu futhi nomsola wesine nowesihlanu-ke lapho-ke bese wathi yilokhu okubhaliwe ngaphakathi kwale summary ye-memorandum-ke lapho-ke futhi yasho ukuthi mayelana nodaba lwe-memorandum-ke lapho-ke udaba lwe-memorandum noma inkulumo ebhaliwe ngaphakathi kwe-memorandum inkulumo eningi futhi ejulile lapho-ke uyasho khona ukuthi khona-ke ufakazi abanako-ke mayelana noKelly Khumalo olungekho lana ngaphakathi oludaba lolu kade alifunda noma isummary ye-memorandum yakhe kade efundela inkosi yenkantolo ngoba kade umbuzo ubuziwe ukuthi ngabe yini yena kade anayo noma kade yini kade ayipresentile lapho kwithimba labashushisi abakhulu-ke lapho-ke ngesikhathi bekamikisa-ke i-memorandum yakhe-ke mayelana nomsola wokuqala umsola wesibili umsola wesithathu umsola wesine futhi nomsola wesihlanu.
Brigadier, so what you have just presented now is not a complete picture of what you presented to the office of the DPP, wherein you are requesting them to make a decision on these accused persons.
Athi manje usuthi lokho kutsheleke inkosi enkantolo njengamanje futhi akusizithombe esigcwele owasimikisa noma owatshela ithimba labashushisi abakhulu ngesikhathi bowamikisa-ke lapho i-memorandum yakho futhi nedocket.
The court, please, my lord. The witnesses ad nauseam said he presented the memorandum and the docket. So it's not as if a decision was only made on the memorandum. In fact, the decision is made on information contained in the docket. That is the evidence. It is unfair now to put it to the witness that what he presented to the DPP is an incomplete picture when he says he presented the docket which has got all the information.
Maybe I was misunderstood by Advocate Baloyi. I'm not saying what you presented to the DPP was an incomplete picture. I am saying what you have just read and presented now here is different or is not a complete picture compared to what you presented to the office of the DPP.
Athi ke umbuzo wakhe ummeli kuukuthi lokhu wena ukutshela inkosi enkantolo njengamanje usho ukuthi akusizithombe esigcwele noma kusulwazi noma ulwazi ucwaningo noma ulwazi lokusesha kwakho kade unalo ngesikhathi umikisa ipresentation yakho lapho kuba kwithimba labashushisi abakhulu.
No, but my lord, that's not correct. That's not how the question was put to me. I was asked, what is it that I presented to the DPP that made them to take a decision to indict accused 1 to 5? And I'm saying this statement, it is specific on each of these accused insofar as the evidence is concerned. So the question was specific. Now I'm being asked a broader question to say, what is it? And that is why I said, if then I'm being asked, is this the similar situation that I presented to the DPP? And I'm saying no, because then I had to deal with the issues of Kelly Kumalo. But what led us here, my lord, that was not the question. The question was, what is it that I presented that links this accused to this offense, and as a result made the DPP to decide to charge them? And that statement answers that, because I even said under accused 1, there's details indicating what evidence we're able to find. And I said it applies from 1 up to 5. That's what led us to this document, and that position is the same, my lord. There's nothing that has been shortcut on that, my lord.
Athi ke mana udaba lombuzo ade bembuzile wona kufakazi ukuthi ngabe yini lekade ayimikisile noma ngabe kade kuyini inhloso yenkulumo yakhe lekade ayikhuluma kunethimba labashushisi abakhulu ke ngesikhathi kwamikisa ke memorandum yakhe futhi nedocket lapho ke athi umbuzo kade ukuthi yini kade ayimikisile ku office abashushisi abakhulu ekuthizeni bafunde ke ilokhuzana idocket futhi nememorandum bese babuye bathatha isinqumo sokuthi bathwesa ke abasolwa icala leli elibhaliwe khona noma wacala laba kade bezobathwesa wona ke ngemuva ukuthi abashushisi abakhulu ke lapho ke bathathe isinqumo. Athi umbuzo kade ukuthi ngabe yini anayo mayana nomsola oqala ehambisana nomsola wesibili nomsola wesithathu futhi nomsola wesine futhi nomsola wesihlanu ke athi lapho ekukhumbula khona zathi khona ke la khona ke angakhulumile khona mayana nodaba la kaKhili Khumalo ngoba kade bengambuzile ke ngaloke noma yini qukethiwe malana noKhili Khumalo ngoba kade bengambuzile malana nalo mkhulumo le kepha kade bembuze malana nabasolwa abakhona la ngaphambi kwinkosi enkantolo.
Brigadier, I hope you follow me. You know, this cross-examination is structured. It's just not haphazard. We are now at a stage where you are approaching the office of the DPP with information that you have at your disposal for them to make a decision. Now, when you look at this affidavit,
Athi ke manje siklesikhathi la kade unake uhamba khona ke uyomikisa ke ipresentation yakho noma uhamba ukwenza kuhlelo lo presentation ngaphambi kwethimba labashushisi abakhulu ke office labashushisi ke manje athi sikhuluma athi sigcinize kodaba lolu lwale affidavit noma
on paragraph 4
noma inkulumo ebhaliwe ngaphansi kwesifungo lapho ku paragraph 4.
My lord,
it says, I'm not done.
But can I then comment on what is being put?
Brigadier,
because then once we move
Brigadier,
forward,
I am not done. Unless you want to turn this court into a circus, then you're free to do what you want to do. But I am not yet done. As a person that is standing you asking me questions. But if you want to behave in that way, it's fine. Then you can continue.
Is a good piece, my lord. I think the word circus and that the witness is trying to turn this court into a circus are inappropriate and unpalatable and should not be used in the courtroom, and I hope Advocate Nisi will withdraw those words.
The witness realizes that I'm not done with my question, then he simply jumps in. What is that? Who should actually be berated here? Is it him or him? Thank you, but I wasn't done. Paragraph 4. it says, there's some evidence by means of a sworn corroborating an independent witness statement, establishes a causal link between the offenders and the offenses of murder, robbery with aggravating circumstances, possession of unlicensed firearms, and unlawful possession of ammunition. The Director of Public Prosecution, Gauteng Province, Gauteng Division, on a directive of the National Director of Public Prosecutions, instructed, after a careful consideration of the presented evidence, that the above 5 suspects in paragraph 3 must be arraigned for murder, robbery with aggravating circumstances, as well as possession of unlicensed firearm and ammunition. The instructions are attached with this statement as BNG1. I hereby apply for the warrant of arrest for the following suspect on above indicated charges on this paragraph. This simply, I'm sorry, you can proceed to interpret.
Article lapho kumala nodaba malana nenkulumo ebhaliwe ngaphansi kuka paragraph 4 ithi ufakazi lokade ninabo ke kade ninabo ngaphansi kohlelo ngoma ngaphansi kwesifungo ke lapho ke kade bohambisana futhi nokade buxhumana bohambisana malana nofakazi wabantu abayimela lapho kade ubhaliwe ngaphansi kwestatement zabo ke futhi ezibhaliwe lapho ke ngemuva ukuthi kwenzeka lokhu ngesikhathi senze kodlame lokhu noma mhlawumbe ubugebengu lokhu ke bokubulala malana icala lokubulala icala kubamba inkunzi kade liphethe ikhali ke lapho ke futhi utholakala liphethe ke lapho ke isibhamu ngekho semthethweni futhi namabhuletho mawubhontshisi ngekho semthethweni ke futhi asuthi director of the prosecution futhi ithimba labashushisi ke lapho ke noma ihhovisi labashushisi elalana ke eGoli ke ngaphansi kwesigodi selana ke eGoli futhi lapho ke directives lapho ke noma inkulumo eqhamuka kubashushisi abakhulu ke lapho base national noma kwizolonkana lasho kwanza bese lantshelthi ngemuva kocabangisisa kahle futhi kube sekhathi isinqumo sokuthize yenake noma malana nofakazi ade nebulethe kubona ke lapho ke malana nabasolwa abahlanu ababhaliwe lapho ke ku paragraph 3 ku paragraph lesithathu ke lapho ke kwamela ukuthi nibabophe noma baboshelwe ke ukubulala ukubamba inkunzi ephethe ke ikhali noma into ezinobungozi ke lapho ke bese babuye futhi bathweswe icala noma baboshwe malana nokuphatha ke lapho ke isibhamu ngokho semthethweni futhi nobhontshisi ngokho semthethweni ke futhi yasho ukuthi inkulumo lena ke iyona ke ebhaliwe lapho ke ngaphansi kwestatement saka BNG1.
Now, was this not an application for a warrant of arrest after the office of the DPP has taken a decision?
Bathi ke manje futhi lapho kade ningacelile ke incwadi inikeza imvume ukuthi ke lapho ke nebophe abasolwa ngemuva ukuthi ke ihhovisi labathimba lezabashushisi kade bekusele sethathe isinqumo ke lapho ke.
My Lord, yes, I'll answer the question. The first part I'd like to deal with, can I just ask Advocate Mnisi, because respect is a two-way process. The usage of disrespectful weight, because that's how I deem them, I do not appreciate it. I don't use disrespectful weight to him simply because one has to be professional and maintain the court's decorum. I expect the same from him. I don't think he deserves better than me. I expect the same treatment. Now, going back to the question that I've been asked, my Lord, paragraph 4 is very specific, and this is the question, this is something that I was attempting to address after he made the statement, because I could see that it's coming exactly here, and he told me it's not done, I must keep quiet, and I left it at that. Paragraph 4 refers to BNG1. BNG1 is a directive from the DPP. And I did say, my Lord, because this is what I'm trying to clarify, and I don't know how many times must I say it. This statement, and the reason we got to this statement is because I was asked to specify, not summarize, what evidence do we have on accused 1, 2, 3, up to 5. And I said a document that has specifics, so that I can answer Advocate Mnisi with specifics, is this statement A195. But this statement is not what was presented to the DPP. I've said it over and over again, my Lord, that it was the memorandum together with the entire docket. So I only refer to this statement to go to the specifics that I'm being asked, so that when I'm being asked what evidence do you have on accused 1, then I can refer to what is contained in this statement, which was used in the application for the warrant of arrest. So it's basically a document I'm referring to that deals with specifics that I'm being asked to consider, and that's why I refer to it. At no stage did I say this statement is what I presented to the DPP. That is not correct, my lord.
Athi-ke okokuqala malana nemibuzo ke emibili noma nombuzo kade abuziwe unamaphuzu amabili kathi iphuzu oqala kuwukuthi-ke lapho-ke ucela ukuthi ngokukhulu ke isicelo ngokukhulu lapho ukuthi umnumzana umnitha atshengise inhlonipho lakena-ke ngoba inhlonipho usho ukuthi ihamba omahlangothi amabili asuthi inhlonipho ihamba uhlangothi olulodwa kuphela-ke lapho-ke futhi asho ukuthi akekho omkhulu kunabo bobabili-ke lana-ke uma ngabe icabanga yena-ke ufakazi futhi uyabuya uyasho khona ukuthi mayelana nodaba lwakhe kade bembuzile kuwukuthi ngabe yini awayimikisa noma kade kuyini presentation ekade ayoyenza ke malana kade kuyini presentation ekade ayoyenza kuma office abashushise lapho ke malana nabasola bonkana umsola oqala umsola wesibili umsola wesithathu futhi nomsola wesine bese nomsola wesihlanu ke lapho ke umbuzo bojulile lapho futhi boqondile athi kungakho iphendule ngalendlela iphendule ngakuthi nake lapho ke ngesikhathi kade yahamba evakasha ku office labashushisa abakhulu ke lapho ke kulabe kahamba khona ke bhalile ke memorandum yakhe futhi memorandum yakhe kade iphelekezwa ke lapho ke docket libequkethe lonke ke ulwazi kade analo ke malana necala leli noma ngemuva uthaseshe icala leli ke bese ihlangothi noma ithimba labashushisi ke lapho ke bese labuya datha ke isinqumo sokuthi yebo asibathose ke icala uma ekhuluma ke ngenkulumo leyo ke athi khona ke statement esiqhamukile ku office labashushisi abakhulu ke lapho ke esingaphansi ko B189 statement sakhona ke lapho babhala ukuthi statement phansi ko BNG1 anthi kula khona ke bese bathatha isinqumo abashushisa abakhulu sithi usithizeni ke bathwese abasolwa laba kade bebhaliwe ngaphakathi kule statement lesi bekakhuluma ngaso ke bonkana ngemuva uthi kade benamacala kade bebathwesa wona.
And one can see clearly, my lord, that in BNG1, the date in which this directive came from the DPP was the 22nd of October 2020. Subsequent to this directive, then this statement is made to the magistrate. There's even a date of the statement, the date of the magistrate, but it's the following day, meaning the 23rd of October 2020. So the statement came as a result of the directive that was taken. Me referring to it was not saying it is now the document I presented. I've said it over and over again. It's a memorandum.
Athi-ke futhi lapho ngemuva ukuthi abashushisa abakhulu bethathe isinqumo ke lapho ke ngelanga lange-22 zaka-October ngomnyaka ka-2022 bese ngelanga elilandelayo ilanga lange-23 zaka-October 2022 kula khona-ke umantshi ke lakade abheke icala leli nayo bhala khona-ke lapho ke incwadi yakhe noma inkulumo yakhe-ke mayelana nohlelo lolu lwaka-BNG1.
I'm done, my lord.
Athi uqedile.
Do you agree, Brigadier, that this statement, that the essence of this statement was an application, is a statement that was attached to an application for the warrant of arrest? Are we agreeing there or not?
Wathi avuma ukuthi statement lesi ke sihambisana nencwadi lekade ibhalile lapho uthizeni ke kuboshweke abantu ngabe avuma yini lokho?
Yes, I agree, my lord.
Athi yebo ngavuma.
Thank you. Now, I've got a bit of a challenge. When you say what is contained in the statement is not everything that you submitted as a memorandum to the office of the DPP.
Athi-ke manje unenkinga nyana anayo ke ngoba ngemuva kwenkulumo ekhulumile ekukuthi le nkulumo equkethiwe noma inkulumo ebhaliwe ngaphakathi kwale statement lesi akuyona inkulumo kade uyimikisile yonkana ngaphansi noma ngaphakathi kohlelo lwakho le memorandum ngesikhathi atumikisa memorandum yakho kuhhovisi lethimba labashushisi.
My lord, I've indicated that, and I'm repeating it again. I was asked specifically insofar as the accused before court. And I refer to these statements because under each and every accused, there are specifics in terms of evidence.
Athi lapho ke umbuzo kade ujulile futhi umbuzo bonciphile kade umbuzo ukuthi ngabe yini ayimikisa kwithimba le office labashushisi lapho ke mayelana nabasolo abaqhamuka noma abasolo abavela kule nkantolo esukuyona ke.
And I've indicated
lapho ke athi kubhaliwe ngaphansi komsola omunye nomunye mayelana nodaba lofakazi kade benalo.
And I've indicated, my lord, that when I sent the memorandum, it went with the docket. You don't go to the DPP and say, yes, the document, decide. I sent the docket, the entire docket, so that they can read, look at the evidence, make their own decision. Hence, then I got BNG1 as a result of what was presented, but not the information only. The entire docket was given to them. I'm simply, and I'm saying again, my lord, I'm simply referring to statement A198 because it deals with the evidence that relates to the accused before court, and that is the question I was asked, and I'm answering that question, my lord.
Athi-ke lapho-ke ukhumule kade aphendula mayelana nombuzo lo kade ubuziwe ukuthi ngesikhathi lapho-ke mayelana kumahhovisi abashushisi kwithimba noma kwihhovisi labashushisi abakhulu ngabe kade kuyini bekayiphethe mayelana nabasola bonkana waqhamuka phambi kwale nkantolo njengamanje. Athi lapho-ke ukhumule khona njalo ngesikhathi bekamikisa-ke i-memorandum yakhe lapho-ke wamikisa i-memorandum yonke i-memorandum futhi bephelekezwa idokhethi lonkana liphelele idokhethi futhi nolwazi kade lukhona-ke ngaphakathi kwedokhethi bese athi ngesikhathi bekamikisa wamikisa lokho kwithimba labashushisi lonkana ekuthizeni bahlale phansi bakufunde futhi bafundisise kahle-ke bese babuya bafake imicabango yabo ngaphakathi kwedokhethi leli futhi nolwazi kade liqukethiwe nofakazi futhi kade bukhona-ke mayelana nabasolwa ngaphakathi kwedokhethi leli-ke bese ngemuva kwalokho bese babuya-ke nesinqumo sabo-ke lapho-ke isinqumo babuya naso kathi sikhona-ke ngaphansi kombhalo ka-BNG1 futhi athi incwadi yakhe lena-ke ingaphansi kohlelo loka A198 statement.
Let's cut it short, Brigadier. From this information which you've just read into records, you've made mention of the fact that there's another information that was contained in that memorandum which relates to Kelly Kumalo. Beyond that, is there any other information that you would have included in the memorandum?
Athi-ke manje asinciphise nje kancane-ke le nkulumo mayelana nodaba lolu okhulumile ngalo kuwukuthi ngaphakathi kolwazi maphakathi kwedokhethi likadunalo-ke kukuthi khona-ke ulwazi kade liqukethiwe lapho-ke mayelana noKelly Khumalo ngabe likhona yini olunye-ke ulwazi ongakhulumile ngalo ongafisa ukuthi inkosi enkantolo ilazi?
I think, my lord, it will be the list of witnesses in my recollection, because you'll say there's this witness that gave this statement. It will be something to that effect that I recall would have been contained, insofar as the witnesses who dispose affidavits in this docket.
Athi enake lapho ucaba ukuthi kuzoba udaba lofakazi noma i-statement zofakazi lezi ezikhona-ke ngapha noma i-statement zofakazi yebo ezikhona-ke lana-ke le docket leli-ke athi ngokomkhumbulo wakhe noma ngokomcabango wakhe ucabanga ukuthi kuzoba-ke lapho-ke uhlelo lwamagama yebo uhlelo lwamagama lofakazi-ke lapho-ke thizeni ufakazi uthize wabhala i-statement emalana nodaba oluthize.
Thank you. Must I then assume that henceforth will be departing on the same level, that except for the issue relating to Kelly Khumalo and the list of witnesses, there's nothing else that should have been included in the statement that was contained in that memorandum?
Athi-ke ngaphandle nje noma ngaphandle kodaba lokaKelly Khumalo futhi nodaba lofakazi-ke lapho-ke usho ukuthi-ke alukho-ke olunye ulwazi olubhalile ngaphakathi kwestatement leso?
No, but I won't be able to answer that, my lord. I mean, I don't have the memorandum specifically, because if I say yes and then the memorandum is found is saying something else, then I'll be misleading the court. I can't answer that now, my lord.
Athi cha ngikakhona ukuphendula ngamashima nombuzo kade ubuziwe lapho-ke ngoba akanayo memorandum kade ayibhaliwe lapha kwakhe ngoba akafuna ukuthi athi yebo kepha kusasa amaqhamuka nememorandum bese memorandum ibuye futhi esekhuluma-ke olunye uhlangothi nalo hlangothi akhulumile ngalo.
That is perfectly correct, Brigadier, because I was coming to the point where when I was saying I'm having a problem with what is happening here, because in the course of my cross-examination, I don't want to be putting suggestions to you such as you are now rebranding your evidence. Do you understand? So,
athumeli yebo-ke lona phuzu baqhamuka bekafuna ukuza ngalo ngoba akafuna ukuthi ukhulume le nkulumo lena-ke bese kusasa bese kubuye futhi ushintshe-ke inkulumo yakho bese uthi akusilo kade ukukhuluma-ke lokho ngabe akuzwisisa yini?
I understand, my lord, but insofar as the specifics relating to this accused before court as to what did we have, it is contained in this statement.
Athi yebo ngiyakuzwa futhi ngiyakuzwisisa-ke kepha mayelana nodaba lombuzo kade ujulile noma nombuzo liqondile ncamashi mayelana nabasola abaqhamuka la ngaphambi kwenkantolo njengamanje athi udaba lolo yebo lukhona ngaphakathi kwestatement lesi.
Now, in relation to this accused person that are before court here, what you have mentioned in this statement is what you presented to the office of the DPP. Is it what you presented to the office of the DPP in your memorandum?
Athi-ke manje malana nodaba lwabasola abaqhamuka ngaphambi kwenkantolo esikhathini samanje noma kumanje-ke ngabe ilokho okubhaliwe ngaphakathi kwestatement sakho yilokho kade kubhaliwe ngaphakathi kwememorandum yakho ngesikhathi bumikisa imemorandum kwithimba labashushisi abakhulu.
My lord, it will be included. When you draft a memorandum, you indicate the evidence that is there. And that is why I said the evidence insofar as this accuser concerned is what is contained in this statement. But it must be understood also, my lord, that when you give evidence, and that's how I understand it, you're not dictating to the DPP. DPP, they have the authority they sit with the authority to decide what to do with the docket that is before them, and in terms of the charges. My duty was to present what we have, and out of that presentation, my lord, that is why BNG1, and I refer to it, it's a communication from the DPP. Out of this communication from the DPP on the 22nd of October 2020, I then drafted the statement the following day requesting the warrant of arrest, because there was already a guidance from the DPP to say these are the charges and this is where we are going, and then I drafted this statement, and that's the evidence that I know was presented and was contained in the docket and is still in the docket, my lord.
Athi yebo, kepha-ke ukhumbule khona nje ngesikhathi kade amikisa-ke udaba lwakhe le-presentation kwithimba labashushisi abakhulu-ke lapho-ke kade afake ngaphakathi ufakazi kade anabo-ke malana nabasola bonke laba ngaphambi kwenkantolo. Athi ukhumbule khona njalo ukuthi yena-ke akusuye umuntu ophoxa-ke ithimba lezabashushisi kumele bathathe isinqumo esithini-ke lapho-ke noma isinqumo esinjani-ke lapho-ke ngoba bona-ke banomthetho noma banendlela abasebenza ngayo malana nodaba lozomthetho. Athi-ke nake lapho-ke into ayenzile nje kuphela kuwukuthi amikise i-presentation yakhe lapho-ke malana nodaba lolu kade aliphethe noma malana ufakazi lobu kade anabo ngesikhathi bekasenza lo hlelo lolu-ke. Besathi ngesikhathi bekamikisa-ke incwadi yakhe le noma umbhalo wencwadi yakhe lapho-ke kula khona-ke ithimba labashushisi labuya khona-ke ngenye-ke inkulumo selivuma ukuthi yebo-ke kumele sibathuse-ke amacala abasolwa-ke futhi lokho kubhaliwe ngaphansi kombhalo ka-BNG1. Athi ngemuva kwalokho-ke kula khona-ke wahamba khona-ke wabhala incwadi futhi ebhala-ke inkantolo encane-ke lapho-ke ekuthizeni bathole-ke incwadi ebanika lapho-ke ilungelo lokuthi kumele abasolwa bababophe.
And what should not also be forgotten, my lord, because I've also indicated this part, that this was a prosecutorial-driven investigation, meaning prior to the submission of the memorandum, there was a communication between my office and the prosecution up to the stage where now the memorandum was presented. So it's not a situation where the police are operating in isolation. Then at a certain stage, they just come and send the document. This was a joint operation or investigation, my lord.
Athi futhi-ke lapho ukujobela lakhe ingcazelo khona impendulo yakhe ngesikhathi ade kusenzeka lokho ngesikhathi kade amikisa-ke imemorandum yakhe lapho-ke futhi ihambisana nale incwadi ekhona ngaphambi kwenkantolo njengamanje-ke athi kade khona-ke ukuxhumana phakathi kwethimba lakhe futhi nethimba labashushisi-ke lapho-ke akusukuthi kade kuthulekile kungekho ukuxhumana kade khona-ke phakathi kwabo-ke lapho-ke athi futhi ngesikhathi bekamikisa lokhu kula khona-ke bekamikisa mana nofakazi lobu sele anabo uphelele ngesikhathi ehamba lapho-ke eyokwenza-ke lapho yena-ke uhlelo lwakhe le-presentation kwithimba lehhovisi labashushisi.
Thank you, Brigadier. I hear you. But we don't work together. I said to you that my cross-examination on behalf of accused number one is very structured. We are not yet at a stage where the DPP is supposed to do, or what is it that the DPP is supposed to do. We are still at the stage where you yourself, not really yourself, but from the side of the investigating team, are approaching the office of the DPP with certain information. Now my question is, are you then satisfied that what is contained in this affidavit, that which you have read into record, insofar as it implicates this accused person, are you satisfied with it as it is contained in this affidavit, which you submitted to the office of the DPP?
athi lapho kahlahlele emuva nje kancane akakafikile kubuzo office office kulona ke malana nodaba lokuthi ukhuluma ngalo ngesikhathi kade umithisa kuhlela kule presentation lapho ke noma ngesikhathi kade lokulinde isinqumo sokuthi basithathe ke team razabashushisi kepha thi ngabe unesiqiniseko noma ngabe wanele yini malana nalenkulumo obhalile ngaphansi kwaffidavit le kade ufunda ngaphambi kwenkosentantolo esikhathini emizuzwana kule mizuzu endlule khona manje nje ukuthi ulwazi uqhekethiwe ngalapho ke iyona kuphela ulwazi nikisa kwithimba leqembu noma kwithimba labashushisi eqhukethe lapho ke umsola oqala umsola wesibili umsola wesithathu umsola wesine futhi umsola wesihlanu malana nodaba lwamacala la kade nebathosa wona.
My Lord, the first part is I said, even before the DPP, and that is why I refer to the procedural driven investigation, that the presence of the DPP or the prosecution does not come into existence only when we present the memorandum. They were there. That is why I indicated to the meeting of the 26th of January 2019. And I said the case was discussed, instructions were given. So it was a flow of communication leading to this. So there was no gap where we now break, we do things in isolation, and then we come at a certain stage to say, do this. It was guided. We were communicating. So directive will be given to say, this stage, then you can move in this way. That's how procedural-driven investigation works. That's the first part, my Lord.
Athimana nephuza ke loqala ukuthi lapho ke ngesikhathi kade khona ukuxhumana kade khona esikhathini esiningi noma isikhathi sonke ke phakathi kwethimba lakhe leziphoyisa noma kwethimba labaseshi beziphoyisa futhi nethimba labashushisa abakhulu ke lapho ke athi banokuxhumana esikhathini esiningi ngesikhathi yena kade senza ke ukusesha kwecala noma kade aphenye icala leli ke akusukuthi kade khona ke lapho kunqamuka exhumaneni kwabo bona ke thimba labashushisi futhi nethimba labashushisi lapho ke athi ukhumule khona ngathi ngesikhathi sekade behlele umhlangano noma ngesikhathi kade behlezi kumhlangano wabo ke ngelanga la nge26 ngenyanga kaJanuary ngomnyaka 2019 ngemuva komhlangano isinqumo abaphumana sokulomhlangano lowo ke ukuthi kumele bahambe ngohlangothi luphuke lapho ke ekuthiziwe begcine bathola uhlelo lwabo noma ngaphambi ukuthi akahambe lapho ke awukwenza uhlelo lakhe le memorandum bese alihambise alupresenta lapho ke kubisile thimba labashushisi.
And secondly, my Lord, insofar as the list of the evidence or statements, be it confessions on each and every accused that is mentioned, I do recall that it tallies with the docket, my Lord, and I do recall that it would have also been mentioned in the memorandum.
Athike lapho malana ne-statement ezithathiwe lapho ke futhi ama-confession ade ethathiwe ke kubonake abasolwa ke athi khona qhukethiwe ngaphakathi kwedokhethi futhi kuhambisana nedokhethi futhi ade ngesikhathi kanikisa ku-memorandum yakhe nalokho futhi wasibhala ngaphakathi kohlelo lakhe le-memorandum.
Thank you, Brother. Let us try to cut it very short. Yourself, with the assistance of members of the office of the DPP, who have been assisting you all along up until this date where you had to prepare this memorandum. Were you then happy as a team, DPP and the SAPS, were you happy that the information that is contained in this affidavit was what has been happening in terms of the investigation all along?
Manje umbuzo ukuthi wena phakathi kwethimba lakho ke efakazi ethimba leziphoyisa futhi nabaseshi becala futhi nethimba labashushisa abakhulu ngabe kade ukujabulele ukuthi konke lokho okubhaliwe lana ke kungemuva kwenkulumo yenu kade ninayo ngesikhathi bexhumana njengamathimba amabili.
I'm sorry, just before you answer, let me not use the word happy. I wanted to say satisfied.
Ngabe kade wenelisekile malana nenkulumo yenu yonkana futhi nenkulumo ebhalile ngaphansi kohlelo lakho lwe-affidavit adulifunda ngaphambi kwenkantolo?
No, my Lord, this affidavit is not a summary statement of the entire investigation. It is specifics. That's why I said I refer to it because I'm being directed specifically to the accused before court. So, but now if the question is saying, were we satisfied, myself and the NPA, about the entire investigation in relation to this statement is not a summary statement. It deals with the evidence that was available at the time against these accused that are before court. And that's the essence of it. And subsequently the application for the warrant of arrest of these accused. It is a different situation where now, because now I'm understanding the question to be asking me about the summary of investigation. We should be much more detailed now. If I must be asked the summary of the investigation, then it's much broader than what is contained in the statement, my Lord.
Athi-ke lapho uma ngabe ngaphendula kumbuzo ukuthi incwadi yakhe ayibhalile ngaphansi kwesifungo-ke noma le affidavit ayibhalile lapho-ke akusukuthi inkulumo yonkana kade ayenza ke ngesikhathi bekasesha icala leli noma ngesikhathi kade aphenya icala leli futhi noma ngesikhathi kade akhulumisana nethimba labashushisi-ke lapho-ke ngoba uma ngabe umbuza ngokuthi ngabe kade anelisekile malana nokusesha kwicala leli-ke lapho-ke athi inkulumo leyo bekazojula futhi kakhulu kwincwadi yayo futhi abhale inkulumo ey'ningi-ke lapho-ke kepha lana kade bembuzile kade bembuza umbuzo oqondile ulaphendule khona-ke ukuthi ngabe yini ayibhalile malana nabasola bonkana laba bavela ngaphambi kwenkosi yakhe.
Thank you, Brigadier. I think I've made my point. Those who have ears to hear have heard what I was trying to say. I'm alerted to the fact that it's almost 5 minutes past 1. On behalf of the gentlemen that are alerting me, that is almost 5 minutes past 1. They're saying that I should request the court for a lunch adjournment. And that's the request that I'm making, my lord. When we come back at 2, we'll proceed. Thank you.
Siyabonga ke ummeli kaunti laba abanendleko zokuthi bezoke bazwileke lapho-ke kepha icela ukuthi manje inkosi enkantolo imise kancane siyodla isidlo sasemini bese sibike futhi ngehora lesibili.
Yeah, we're back at 2 o'clock.
What do you say?